Good evening, everybody. It's all over. Rangers won, Tottenham Hotspur won. What an amazing game of football. Rangers were from minute 0 to minute 93 outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Um, I would go as far as to say that for the majority of that game, we absolutely battered a team who, within that game, took £100 million worth of talent off and brought £100 million worth of talent on, and we absolutely battered them. Could not be a more prouder Rangers fan sitting here tonight after watching that. So I hope that you're all well. I would imagine that you all are. Joining me for the reaction tonight is Ian. Ian, how are you?
I'm really good. Feel good after that. Solid run of performances now that shows that this team's turning the corner. And every credit goes to Clermont and his players, especially after tonight.
Lewis, how you doing? I feel like I've not been on with you for a while, Lewis.
It's been a wee while. I'm all right. I mean, I'm a bit mentally drained after that. It takes a stuffing at you when Rangers are in Europe, good or bad. But listen, it says a lot that I'm slightly, aggrieved about a wee bit of a robbery tonight to a team that were tipped to win the Premier League in the very early stages of last season.
And they're still the bookies' favourite, Lewis, for this tournament. They're still the bookies' favourite for this tournament.
That's not happening.
That's definitely not happening.
Certainly no over 2 legs. No chance.
No. Although I say no. We're just on a bit of a high, but I can understand Ian where Lewis is saying he feels a wee bit gutted because for what? I mean, barring a wee spell here and there, for 75, 80 minutes, we dominated that game of football.
Yeah, we were the better team. I mean, Spurs get better in the second half, as you would expect them to. They're probably a fitter team, but we were the team that looked dangerous going forward. So I've got to say, I understand Lewis's sentiment there, because you as much as it was a one each, and by the way, I think we can all agree with the taking your hand off for a one each before the game. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So to then come away feeling a wee bit disappointed with a one each just tells you everything you need to know. If anyone deserved to win the game, it was certainly us, and we had the chances to do it. And like we've done in the past, we just didn't take those. Need a wee bit more composure in the final third, and we've heard that a lot. But do you know what? It's all about the performance was good tonight. It looked like we've something building there. Igamani was outstanding. You know what I mean? You could go through the whole team. I thought Tav was particularly good again. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys that have come under the cosh recently were really good. I thought Yefty was great. I thought Raskin, without doubt, was man of the match. I thought he was brilliant. And I've not been his biggest fan over the time. You know what I mean? But I've got to say, that's now Raskin put together a run of really top performances. So, you've got to give kudos to the boy.
And look, John Suter and Tully went off. Balogun, when he came on, Robin Proper had a really good game, like you said. Tav, Jeffy was excellent at left back. Yilmaz played really well. Robbie Fraser played quite well when he came on. Diamande was a different level the night to what we're used to, Lewis. 3 weeks ago, you could not have foreseen the past games in the last 3 weeks, but also this performance tonight. When you think that Hadji and Danilo, who have been a massive part of us looking better, weren't on the park, and we didn't have our starting centre back pairing, and we had two left backs on the left side.
I mean, when you put it like that, it's absolutely mental that we were looking like the dominating side in that fixture. But just bemused. I mean, anybody that cast their eye over the Premier League knew that it wasn't going to exactly be a dominating performance for Tottenham. You either get Jekyll or Hyde with him. And it turned out that we maybe get a wee bit of both. I mean, I don't actually think they didn't really turn it on at all. I didn't ever feel threatened at any points, even their goal. I think maybe Butland slightly could have done better. But listen, it's a massive point, because like Ian said, before the game, you would have bit your hand off. And I think this now, we really need to believe top 8 now for the Europa League. I think that's us through anyway now. I don't think there'll be 25 other teams. I don't even know if it's mathematically possible for us to go through now. But top 8 is a big possibility because our next fixture is the team above us, and it's a team that are underperforming even more than Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester United. And if they don't sort it out, we can cause them some serious damage. But listen, that's in January. We've got a much bigger game very, very soon to come. But this performance has gave me a lot of hope.
Do you know what's weird? You're saying that I would rather be playing Man U on Sunday than Celtic. How
That's same,
mental!
to be honest.
How
Same, to
mental
be
is that?
honest.
How absolutely
No.
mental is that? This comment, Ian, sums it up for me. So very proud of our team tonight. Battled from start to finish, all over the pitch. We were brilliant.
We were brilliant. We went at Spurs right from the get-go, and to be honest, they didn't really know what had hit them for large parts of that game. All the interchanging play. I mean, when we first saw the lineup, you and I were on here together in the pre-match pod, and we looked at the lineup and we thought, well, who's playing where? We've got 2 left backs on, and listen, all the kudos goes to Clement. Clement got his tactics spot on tonight. He used his personnel well. He get. What has to be said, though, I've got to say the space that we had in the middle of the pitch was unbelievable. I now understand why Spurs are sitting 11th in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen it up close now. You know what I mean? So, because the Premier League's a very open competition this year, with maybe the exception of Liverpool's kind of soldiering out front, but everyone else is a much of a muchness. And I've got to say, I was amazed at the space that we had from them.
Mm-hmm.
We were finding balls out of the back 4. We were hitting our midfielders every time. And see, when we hit them, Martin, we had loads of space around us. And that's not something you would expect of a team that was, collectively over 400 million euros to put together. So yeah, I've got to say, as your man just said there, that the whole performance was great. I can't think of anyone that underperformed. To be honest, I thought Dio was great. We haven't really mentioned him. And I think whatever Clement got through to the players and his game plan, he hatched it brilliantly. It's just a shame we couldn't have just got the 3 points at the end, but you saw the tired legs, and fine well, he was thinking about Sunday as well.
Yeah, I'll listen 100%. And, Sunday's still, for me, Lewis, the more important game. But that takes nothing away from tonight. And Kevin Wilson, channel member, has also put in a super chat. By the way, I was doing the watch along for everybody watching, for the members, and my throat is about to go. Credit to Tav, brilliant captain's performance. Lewis, he's took so much stick for me, and rightly so. This doesn't change my feeling about Tav long term, but just based on this game tonight, it felt like the Tav of old.
It was vintage Tav. 100%. It looked like, he was playing in the 2022 Europa League and no the 2024 Europa League. It was outstanding, and defensively, a genuine world class operator, and Son could not get by him once. Not once. I think he'd go past him once and Tav recovered still.
Mm-hmm.
And that's massive credit. Massive credit. And going forward, he was excellent. I mean, that ball to Egeman was delicious, absolutely delightful, like right on his toes, brilliant. And there was a couple of balls that Tav had played that our forward line maybe should have dealt with better. And even when he was cutting inside and playing the balls out wide, he was outstanding. It was Tavernier of old. But it's just it's hard to pinpoint one player. But genuinely, see, other than maybe unfortunately by Rami, everybody else had at least that 8 out of 10 performance, and that's including the people that come on the park. Like Connor Barron came on and just strolled it, just absolutely strolled it. Dujon Sterling does what Dujon Sterling does. One of the things I love about Sterling is when people don't know what his attributes are, and a big centre back thinks, "Oh, I'm going to bully him," and then they end up on the floor. And that's massive to have somebody like that. And it was a big call to drop him. But now we're going to have a much fresher Dujon Sterling for Sunday, and I don't think Dyson Maeda will be getting as much joy down that left flank.
Well, it all depends on obviously who the manager picks. But just on the manager, Ian, massive credit to Philip Clement, because 3 weeks ago we were all sitting here saying this man has to go. He's slowly but surely killing this team. The team have lost all faith in him. He's made a couple of changes. He's brought some players back into the team, 2 of which weren't playing tonight. But on tonight's performance, on tonight's tactics, man, did he get it spot on.
He got it absolutely spot on, and he deserves every bit of credit he gets for it. And listen, as much as we did pick up a couple of worrying injuries there, it's all about momentum, isn't it? And you're only as good as your last game. So when you're going into the cup final, that Spurs game's in your head. You think you know yourself that you're playing quite well. And we've obviously got Hadji and Danilo to add to the mix as well, who didn't feature tonight. But just on a couple of things that you guys said a minute ago there, I mean, the fact that you actually forgot Son was playing. You genuinely forgot he was playing at times. And that's again testimony to Tav and our midfield, who worked so hard for Son not to get the ball. And he didn't, because we've seen this guy do year after year, damage after damage to good quality opponents in the Premier League. We know what he's capable of. We know the class he has. And I'm glad they actually started with Timo Werner. That was the only surprise for me, because we all know that Timo Werner's he's got lots of pace, but his composure at the very end has let him down. It stopped him being that top class player, and unsurprisingly, he came off. He got subbed off at half time, and that made a wee bit change. I thought Spurs improved a little bit when Solanke came on, gave him a bit of strength. Which made, it was my surprise that they didn't start with him. But listen, it doesn't matter what Spurs did or didn't do. We executed our game plan really well, and that's what matters.
Yeah, and look, we've got a couple of super chats to get to, but just before we do, let's hear, if I can find it, the manager's thoughts on the game. Philip Clement spoke to TNT Sports.
It was a huge...
If I can get it up. After tonight's draw.
It was a huge night for the club, for your players. How do you feel they stood up to the challenge?
They took the challenge with both hands, and they grabbed it, and they showed what we want them to show everybody. But I still live now after this game we should have won this game. We deserve to win this game. But I think it was a very good advertisement for Scottish football and for sure for Rangers, in that way to compete against a top Premier League team with in full strength. They had some injuries, but with a lot of quality players on the pitch. But our young guys, our experienced guys, everybody together showed a lot of quality today.
Is that a sign of how far this team has come, that you are leaving that match feeling disappointed?
Yeah, but that's what it's about, to be at Rangers. It's about who I am. I want that mentality also in my squad. I saw also that they were not satisfied with the point. They wanted to win, and they felt also they were really close in winning these games. And we need to keep this hunger and desire for more and to become better. Like I said, the last months, the last weeks, there's a lot of potential in this squad. It's about working with them, getting experiences. Like evenings like this helps a lot in that way. They need to play faster. They need to decide things faster. They need to be more aggressive, react faster, but they all did. So it's a big step forward, and it's about keeping this hunger and desire to make confirmation of that and to become better as players. So that's a major thing.
Was that the message at half-time, overall, given that the team did come out and scored a goal almost immediately?
Yeah, of course, because the first half also we had created good chances, more than Tottenham. And we had to continue. We were not satisfied with the 0-0 and only parking the bus in front of the 16 and hoping that something falls out of the sky. No, we wanted to impose our football and create our own chances, and that's what they did second half. So I think a lot of really strong performances today.
Egeman was the player that got the goal. 5-5 now for him. A great finish, but what have you made of the way he has come into this team and almost made himself undroppable?
Nobody's undroppable. Only when they play like this every time, of course. But we need also to see where his physical level is in that way. But he's making really, really major steps forward. If you know where he was a few months ago, physically, tactically, it was a really long way, but he's one of the boys who has the most hunger and desire to become better. And then you grow really fast, because this is a good environment to grow as a young player, with the experienced guys around, with the staff who wants to work with them every day to make them better. So there's a lot of potential still with this group to make it better than it is now.
How is Suter?
I don't know for the moment. So it's never a good thing when you need to step off in first half. So we will see the next couple of days. What is the situation? I don't have a clue for the moment.
But this is a good platform to build on for Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. To repeat this again, and you see also the synergy is totally back with our fans. They see all the work the team is doing. They see the way we want to play, the way we want to impose our play also, and it's gonna be a massive final against Celtic at Hampden, 50-50 with supporters. So everybody's looking forward to that.
Well done tonight.
Yeah, that's the only negative. Well, there was two negatives. One that we didn't win, but I'm never going to complain about a 1-1 draw against a team with the amount of money that Tottenham have lost. But the biggest negative was John Souttar going off, and obviously people watching us now couldn't see Philip's face when he was asked about Souttar. But I've got a horrible feeling, Lewis, that that's not a good injury.
No, I mean they mentioned that it was groin, so that's never a good sign. Certainly not something that will be, solved in the next 3 days. Which is a real shame because he's been potentially the player of the season for Rangers. He's been almost faultless, and he's a guy that's had a lot of stick and a lot of doubters. But it's a massive blow, a massive, massive blow. But listen, trying to take some positives, this was by far the best game that Robin Proper has ever played in a Rangers shirt. He was absolutely outstanding. And let's just pray that that's the guy that was scouted by Rangers, and it's not the guy we've seen for the past double-digit number of appearances, because he was very, very good. But it's a massive worry. It's a massive, massive worry.
It is. And Ian, like Lewis said there, he's been up there with one of our best players this season so far. He's had his injury worries in the past, and we all thought it was behind him. On the slim chance that he makes it, which I really hope that he does, brilliant. But out with that, I hope it's not a long-term thing.
I hope it isn't, but when you go off holding your groin, you're definitely not going to be fit 48 hours later for a game of football, or 72 hours later, whatever it is for a game of football, Martin. So, groin injuries can be anything from 4 weeks to 8 weeks, even if that's if it's a basic one, but which is a shame, because I think one of the things when we signed Souttar was we thought, well, hold on a minute, we know this boy's got ability, but he's a bit of a signal. He can, picks up injuries, and he has had long spells of injuries. And it seemed to be that he had a long patch of keeping fit. And lo and behold, when John Souttar gets to keep fit, he then, as Lewis quite rightly pointed out again, has become our best player this year. He certainly has been one of them. And on that road to a potential Rangers captain, which I think a lot of people kind of could see, and I think a lot of people hoped for when he first signed. But listen, let's not dwell on the negatives, because we've had lots of negatives recently. Do you know what I mean? So what I would say is, I love the fact that Glenn Hoddle was silenced for about 60 minutes of that.
I can't stand that man on commentary.
Yeah, I don't mind Glenn Hoddle. You know what I mean? But the point is, you could see it was visibly quiet. It was audibly quiet, and he could see he was a bit of a sickener. He thought his team is as indifferent as Tottenham has been. They thought they would come up to Ibrox, and because we assumed that we were down so many more levels, it would be a matter of how many. Couldn't have been further from the truth. And do you know what else I want to mention? How good was that tifo? Make Rangers great again. Absolutely, it was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It was fantastic. So it was. Yeah. Massive thank you to Deek CT72, who has become a YouTube member. Thank you very much for the support, Deek. And after that, Stephen Robertson, the channel legend, has also gifted a Rangers Rabble membership. So thank you very much to you two for the support. Super chat in from Dean Bailey. Thank you very much, Dean. Proud of the lads tonight, but I really think that was there for the taking. Great game, though, getting better every game. And Ian, that's something that the manager mentioned there in his post-match, that he wants the players to come off the park tonight feeling down that they didn't get the win. He wants the players to be in the opposition team's faces constantly. He wants them to have that right mentality, which they showed for the vast majority of that game. And we can now, because you said to me before we started, that's Nice, St Johnstone, Kilmarnock. Ross County, and now
Yeah.
Tottenham. It's not a
Yeah.
fluke. We are
No,
getting better.
it's not just that. It's not just that we won those games. We were convincing in our performances, Martin. And what you could say is you know, as they were talking about in TalkSport this morning, okay, Rangers have turned the corner a wee bit domestically. They seem to be doing a bit better, but this is a whole other level. Well, as it turned out, we actually have turned the corner, and the team does look like something that could challenge on Sunday. I mean, how much better do we all feel now about Sunday since this game? Because this was the acid test. What still irks with me, though, is that these two games are too close together. So Celtic have had a big advantage in the fact that, you know, we've had Suter now injured, and, you know what I mean, we've got Igamani potentially injured for Sunday, and with these games being too close together. So Clement mentioned in his press conference before the game against Spurs, he basically said, look, I might have to field a bit of a weaker team in lieu of having to put in and having to think about Sunday. And you know, as it happened, it was a really open game. You know what I mean? And it was a big physical contest, and you could see that, you know, it was the type of game that, you know, you could end up losing a couple of players, and that's exactly what's happened. So, but anyway, again, that's just details.
Yeah, but you're not going into the game that you've got a game 3 days later. So
yeah, you do, you do. You know what I mean? But you know, I think, you know, if Igamani's get cramp, maybe the effects of that cramp isn't quite as bad in a week's time as opposed to 3 days' time. You know, that's the kind of point I mean. And all the players on there that get little knocks, and it takes more than 48 hours to, you know, it's like when you play football, it takes you a wee bit longer to go over those knocks that you picked up in the game. So yeah, it's not ideal planning, and I think the SPFL could have been a wee bit more considerate towards us in playing with Europe when it's so close to a final. But when are they ever? When are they ever? So yeah, but that is what it is. But
not just for us, by the way, they wouldn't be considerate for anybody. The SPFL, they don't care.
Yeah. It's such a different story in other leagues in Europe, Martin. They're always kind of helping their teams out in terms of you know, making them do well in Europe. You know,
yeah, but we can't use that as an excuse for Sunday if the worst happens. We can't.
Oh no, definitely not. No. It's a game of football on Sunday, and that's, you know, everybody's up for it. Absolutely. You know, but you know, if the manager always talks about giving yourself the best possible preparation and chance of doing well. Well, if that was the case, you wouldn't have had the 2 games so close together. You know what I mean?
And I wouldn't have imagined this comment, Lewis, from Stephen Gillespie. Super chat, thank you very much, Stephen. Told you I was buzzing. Great goal from Igaman. We'll talk about that in a wee second. Celtic better be quaking their boots, buzzing for Sunday too.
Yeah.
Wouldn't go that far quite yet, but we should have won that. Can't wait for the weekend. League Cup coming home. I sincerely hope that it is coming home, Lewis. I'm not getting ahead of myself. Albeit it's just after the game, so we're allowed to be a wee bit OTT, aren't we?
Aye, slightly. At least the night. The only thing is, like, we can't sit here and pretend that Celtic don't exist, because, you know, they themselves have actually been quite impressive in Europe at a much higher level. Although you would argue that our fixtures are probably more difficult. Like Spurs and Man United, despite the form that they're in, are much more difficult than who is it they beat?
Dinamo Zagreb and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Aye. I think that a lot of their competition was Europa League level, and listen, they got a great result against RB Leipzig as well. So
there's no we can't contrast and compare cock sizes. We're playing in a lesser competition. You know what I mean? So
aye, I know. But listen, it's just. It's a fantastic performance. I see a lot of people saying about, you know, Spurs missing the likes of Romero and Van de Ven, but I mean, we were missing Hagi, Danilo. Like, it's a much of a muchness in terms of injuries. Like, arguably both of them would have started the night. So let's not go down that route. This performance is what this performance was, whether Spurs had their B team or their A team, and they had the majority of their A team, and they were very, very lucky to get out of this game alive. And you know, Pierre Crouch, I heard it just before I come on there, was like, listen, Spurs escaped a murder here. They really, really did. And even Glenn Hoddle, as difficult as he was to listen to the night, he even admitted that it would have been slightly aggrieved that Rangers, you know, if Spurs went on to win that, it would have been a robbery. And it's just it's perfect. It's perfect for getting into Sunday. And listen, people forget that I think the last one-off game that Rangers have won against Celtic, we had a very, very good result 3 days prior to it in Europe, and we went on to win that game 2-1. So it's an argument of whether you're a team that likes the momentum or you're a team that likes the rest.
Or if you've got the bottle and the fight and the hunger, because that's what it will come down to in the end. Kevin Wilson, Super Chat, thank you very much, Kev, and channel member. I'm very proud of the team and the management team tonight, class performance, and also Jack Butland. There was a couple of occasions, Ian, where Jack Butland had me with the hands over the eyes.
What was your thoughts about the Spurs goal? Do you think he could have done a wee bit better there?
I think he
could have.
I don't know if because of the way that Kulusevski's travelling, it's a really good strike, isn't it? He's a top player. I don't know if it's maybe wrong-footed, Jack, and then by the time he's went down, but it looked to me as if he went down and he kind of pulled his arm into his body. Yeah,
that's the bit that irked with me a little bit. You saw Kulusevski do that run, and you're right. You knew he was going to wrap his left foot round it and send it back the way it came from, type thing, and he did, and it was a good finish. But it didn't quite find the corner. It kind of, as you said, it kind of went under Jack's body a wee bit. And when you're watching your goalkeeper do that, you think, oh, hold on a minute. If you'd have spread yourself out, you could have stopped that. But having said that, Jack Butland did a couple of cracking saves as well, Martin. So
yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a couple of point blank saves. One in particular ended up offside. But I've got to say, over the piece, Jack Butland did quite well. And I think maybe the Kulusevski goal is the type of goal that just looks bad for the keeper, but his momentum was going the other way. So then when he does try to kind of pivot back, it didn't quite work. I felt he maybe could have done a wee bit better with it, but maybe I'm nitpicking on that. But I think over the piece, he certainly had a couple of game-saving saves as well, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely did. Yeah, absolutely did. And look, I'm going to rewatch the game, and I'm bringing a new segment to the members' shows as well. So we're not going to go over every single incident. We're just going to kind of go over the goals and maybe some real opportunities that we should have took. And Lewis, I'm sitting at half time and I'm thinking, we've played like ridiculously well there. Is this going to be one of these things where we've had a couple of chances, we haven't took them, and the game's going to turn? But straight away, start of the second half, a Tav ball of old, phenomenal cross, Lewis. What a finish, Gregor, man.
Listen, I am so glad you came to me about this boy, because he is special. I got Ken a wee bit on the podcast. I think one of his first appearances, I said, there's something about him. He only played like 20 or 30 minutes, but he made a few actions, and it was just like, you can tell this boy's something, and he's just proven it. He's proven it. He's going to make us a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money. And I'm just a bit worried that money might come in sooner rather than later for this performance, because this will put Europe on notice. And, I got caned after some of my pals for making a bit of a dodgy statement. It might be a bit too soon to say this, but see, in terms of natural technical ability in my lifetime, he's right up there with some of the best I've seen. When he's got that ball at his feet, he's incredible. He's got so much power and pace, but he's also somehow got so much ability with close control. He doesn't look like he's got a weak foot. He's got confidence. He tries the wee tricks, and that puts top level players off, because there's not a lot of top level players that do that when you're so systematic in football nowadays, that they're a bit of a dying breed. And it was something that, the likes of a Ryan Kent or a Joe Aribo would bring to Rangers, where they would just go on a run, they'd beat a few players, and it completely opens up a game of football. And he's just special. He's like Alfredo Morelos, if Alfredo Morelos had a brilliant footballing brain. That's what he looks like to me.
And he was completely unfazed, Lewis, wasn't he?
Oh, the occasion didn't get to him at all.
Did you not start doing keepy-uppies at one point?
That's the bit I was like,
yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous confidence, Ian.
Well, listen, it is, and listen, I can't sing his accolades enough there, because we've talked about this player trading model, and it's exactly nights like this that our young stars have to, perform on the big platform, and then all of a sudden, well, hold on, there's no Dubai anymore. It's not that they played well against Hibs or St Johnstone or even Celtic. They've just done it in the Europa League against Spurs, okay, this might not be the best Spurs team, but they're still a Premier League team. And the bottom line is that then adds value to these young players. So that's Iggerman done really well in Europe 2 or 3 times now, and because of his position. And Lewis is right. He's like a throwback to the old number 9s. He's got a low centre of gravity. He's so hard to get off the ball. He was pushing these guys about right from the beginning. You know what I mean? Right at the beginning of the game, he let the centre backs know he was there, which was a good thing to do because the centre backs. I actually thought Archie Gray did okay for Spurs. I actually thought he did okay. Right, he did quite well, and but Iggerman was on a different level. I thought but and like everything else, and you can now see why when we picked this boy out of obscurity, and you can see getting cramp with 70 minutes gone. You knew that was the part of his game that why we've not introduced him more regularly recently, because he's not quite he's a long way from the finished article, but he's not match fit yet. And if he's playing more games and working more in the training centre, this guy is going to, as Lewis said, this guy is going to come on and hopefully bring us some serious dough into the club.
It's not just even the stuff that you guys have spoke about. I mean, Lewis, he's playing against defenders who are 6 foot plus, and he's still taking the ball in his chest while he's getting pressure. He's bringing it down. He's spinning them. He's making passes. He's megging people at will.
He's incredible
at this kind of level. And Ian's spot on. He's not doing it against Hibs. He's not doing it against Hearts and just Celtic. He's doing it at a top level in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Aye, he's just got everything. He's got absolutely everything, and it's just if he can keep it all together and if he can improve his fitness, he is a special talent. And we were told, various people involved with Rangers told us, listen, when this boy gets gone, Rangers have got a diamond here, and he is an absolute diamond.
Lamont said it. He was right.
And it's like, he's got skill, he's got power, he's got pace. His height doesn't really look like a weakness. He's got some brain on him as well. I think that the only thing is, he's one of the players that if you play him as a sole number 9, I think it might take away from his impact in the game because he's got so much more ability.
Yeah.
And when he's out wide, or if he's maybe behind, like a Danilo or something, he can affect the game so much more. And listen, that doesn't take away from his performance tonight, but I think that's why him and Danilo work well together. And he's just able to drop into the wee spaces and make things happen. And, for Sunday, if he's fit, I would like to see that lineup and Hadji in there as well. I mean, we didn't even have Hadji. I said on the chat, if Hadji was playing tonight, I reckon we would have won that game because I think we would have went 1-0 up in the first half. And I think Bayrami's a really, really good football player, but it looks like he's losing his confidence.
He was off it. He was off it a wee bit.
He's been off it for a few weeks.
I think after a game like that, I don't think it's fair in an immediate post-match reaction to talk about 1 or 2 players being slightly off it. That's not fair to the rest of the team. And it's not as if he wasn't trying. He was still trying, just nothing was coming off for him. Bluebells are blue, gifted 5 Rabble memberships. Thank you very much. And Stephen Robertson's in again, and he's gifted another one. So thank you very much, guys, for helping to support the show. I've got another super chat in here for Dougal, channel member and host. Late in for the reaction. What a night. Raskin coming of age in a Rangers top now. Absolutely, Ian, fair comment. Best player on the park tonight by a country mile. He was everywhere.
Listen, it's not only was he the best tonight, he's been consistent now, and that's what I've always been looking for. And I think myself and maybe Robert in the chat and maybe a couple others have thought, well, okay, right, everybody's raving about Raskin, and we need to see it more consistently. And I know he was blighted by injuries, and I know even Clement's own admission, he tried to hold on to an ageing Lundstrom as opposed to choosing Raskin. And you can see why, because he's small. But I tell you what, he's defied all the odds, and he's been great. And I know Paul McCorrickle in the group will be giving it a big "I told you so" because he's been champion Raskin right from the start. And I've got to say he's been bang on, and long may it last. But he was certainly my man of the match tonight, Martin, I would say.
And if we're looking at people are asking about future Rangers captains, Lewis. Right now, I'm not really fussed about that, to be perfectly honest with you.
No.
I just want to focus on the game. But I mean, if he keeps doing that, I don't see why not.
Listen, I'm another guy that is maybe defended Raskin, in times that he shouldn't have been defended because, under Clement, him and Cantwell were very, very, very good. Very, very good for that 6-month spell. And then he's been a casualty of injury and no coming back, and a new manager being in and no being favoured. And he's right. Nico came out himself and even said, listen, the full time I've been at Rangers, I've not really been deployed properly. I've been played as a box-to-box number 8, and that's not my game.
No.
He is a lone number 6, and it's proven it tonight. Do you even remember like the first set of midfielders with Spurs touching the ball more than like 10 times each? Because I don't remember. It's as if Spurs didn't have a midfield. I just seen Raskin. And there was a still picture of the 4 front men in behind Son of Spurs in our half and just Raskin, and the rest of the Rangers team were there. One ball over the top and we're in. And that's what you get when you have a guy that's comfortable sitting there, and it's like having Stephen Davis back. I wouldn't go quite that far in terms of quality, but that was a massive part of Steven Gerrard Rangers team, was having somebody there just to dictate play. And he's aggressive, and he's brilliant. He is fantastic, and I think he's showed his true level tonight against that
he needs to
opposition.
keep that but now, Lewis. He needs to keep that. Can't drop again, which is obviously always going to be a slight worry. But Ian Mitchell, super chat channel member, thank you very much. If Raskin wants to play in the Prem, it's not a bad way to showcase what he can do. Ian, he was everywhere.
Yep, exactly, and that's exactly what I talked about maybe 5-10 minutes ago. Not just Raskin or Barron or Diomande or Igaman. All these guys know full well that the world will be watching them today. And in particular, where do they all want to go? They all want to go to the English Premiership. It's the best league in the world. So if they can,
it's the richest league in the world.
It's the best league in the world, whatever. You know what I mean? So, it's to me that, I mean, if you're a young player, your aspiration is to go and play, at the highest level you can. And for the now, the English Premiership is certainly that. And these guys are all would love to think they could be, capable of getting a move there. So you don't need to. I mean, as much as Clement's messages get through today, these guys, are performing now regularly on Thursday nights against quality opposition. And it can't be. They must know that that a lot more eyes are on them during these games than there would be when they're playing their domestic football. So that certainly has an impact. And I think to a man, every single one of the young players that played today were fantastic.
100%, 100%. And Kevin Wilson, channel member, has also gifted another Rangers Rabble membership. So if you've been gifted a membership tonight, you can go back and watch the watch along with me absolutely losing the plot at certain times for absolutely no reason. Stephen Gillespie, again, back in another super chat. Lewis, we've got all the momentum here. Spurs got away with one. Let's run right over the top of this Celtic team. Now, it's an immediate post-match reaction. Celtic have had a few more days rest. I have no doubt Brendan Rodgers is a very good manager, regardless of what we think of him in Celtic. He's a very good manager. He will have this Celtic team drilled. They will know what to do in every single scenario. So I'm not getting ahead of myself. However, if we get the players back into the team that we're missing tonight and we keep up that level of performance, should be a cracking game.
Listen, I think a lot of the Rangers fan base get confused when people speak on Philippe Clement as a manager, because it's never been in question in his ability as a football manager, because he's done it at a higher level than the SPL, with Club Brugge. So his ability as a football manager has not been in question. What was in question was he going to succeed at Rangers? And it does look like he's finally starting to imprint his ability onto this football team. And it's annoying because it was some very simple decisions that needed to be made in personnel. That's really what it was. There was glimpses of how this team were going to play in the early stages under Clement. It just didn't come to fruition because the same culprits were playing and underperforming. And they're finally starting to play the right people in the right positions. And they're starting to communicate. It's starting to gel. And I've always been of the opinion that man for man, this Rangers 11, our best starting 11 against Celtic's best starting 11, it isn't a night and day difference. Celtic are better, they have better individual talents than us, but no by much. And when it comes to the occasion of an Old Firm League Cup final, it's not just ability that you need. And if you look for the battles all over the pitch, there's certainly ways we can get success here. I don't think Celtic have been playing out of their skin the past few weeks from what I've heard from, I wouldn't call them friends, but some acquaintances. They've not been totally impressed, and I think there's certainly success. Man, if he starts, we'll get success with the two centre backs. You still got Greg Taylor at left back. Alistair Johnson always seems to get away with murder and ill thumbs.
He's a good player.
Midfield, he is a good player. Defensively, he's a really good player. Midfield, Celtic are always a worry, and the wee man up top is the biggest danger in the Old Firm.
If Raskin does on Sunday what he done the night, but then they don't get that time and space that they always seem to get.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Aye, it's McGregor's always get space, and they say good players make their own space, but it's always because we've never really had that engine in midfield that Raskin seems to be showing us now. Stephen Robertson, Rabble tattoo Sunday, Aldo. I would like to know more, Stephen. So if you can write into the Discord group exactly what you mean by that. Thank you for the support as well, by the way, my friend. But Rabble tattoo. Oh, I wonder, is it going to be my face? Do you think? I mean, who doesn't want this face on their body? But yeah. Right, okay. Kevin Wilson, another super chat. Dessers was unlucky, Ian. You have to say that the chance that he creates, the one that we all know about, he creates it for himself. So he does ridiculously well to create that chance for himself. Either side of the goalkeeper, and it's a goal.
Look, it was two great touches to get himself into that position. You know what I mean? He rounded the centre backs really well, and then Dessers did what Dessers always does. Okay, look, some people argue it was a great save by the keeper, and it was, but it's always a great save, or if it's always over the bar, or it's wide, or whatever it is with Dessers. I mean that then wins you the game, doesn't it? So it's particularly frustrating. But Dessers is there in those positions again. You know, he came on and he could have had two or three. So, had it been different, and, it's just, I've got to, it's hard. I understand Iggeman's game. He'd ran his race. He was physically done, and Dessers had to come on, and that's exactly the role Dessers should be playing. On another night it goes in, but most of the time for Cyril Dessers it doesn't. And that's not coincidence anymore. He just seems to find the keeper's chest, the keeper's left glove, the post, the crossbar, rose head, whatever it may be, rather than score. And he's still the highest goal scorer at a club. So, for this season. So, Dessers was unlucky. Dessers is always unlucky, is what I'll say to that,
Let's leave it at that, because like I said, there's no criticism tonight. Maybe tomorrow, but there's absolutely no criticism tonight. Our very own Connor Chalmers, thank you, Connor. Had to put this in because Dougal's making us look bad. Superb tonight to a man, injuries or not. That's still a Premier League team. Same again Sunday, please. I know for a fact, Lewis, that the headlines on TalkSport tomorrow, the headlines on Sky Sports News tomorrow will be Tottenham underperform. Shocking. Tottenham should have won. Blah blah blah. Whatever fancy headline you can think up. Still a Premier League team, and it's still a team who we made. Let's give Rangers some credit here. We made them look ordinary.
Things in football can change like very, very quickly. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a Tottenham team that was sitting top of the Premier League last season for like a run of 12 games or something like that, undefeated, and it's largely the same starting 11. Other than I think Archie Gray and Dominic Solanke, that was the Tottenham
Harry
team.
Kane's the only notable absence for that, I think, isn't he? Because he's away.
And he wasn't even there last season either. So it was the same team.
That shows you how much English football I watched, doesn't
it? But I was when I the first 20 minutes of the game, I was thinking to myself, right, maybe that's just as a case of Tottenham underperforming. We were starting to make quite a lot of breakaways, but it wasn't quite clicking in the first 10 to 15 minutes. And then we started to really click. There was some really, really good football being played. And it doesn't matter whether that's Tottenham, whether that's Real Madrid, or whether that's Kilmarnock. That's still some really top level football that we were playing. There was hundreds of nice interchanging triangle passes that you haven't seen under Flip. Come on, it hasn't been there. And that's again gone back to picking the right people in the right positions. And it's a guy like, Vaclav Cherny, who to me, I think we need to be doing a lot to sign this guy. It's the right kind of signing. I think we need. We've got enough projects at the minute. This guy is a prim and proper, ready starting right winger. And when's the last time we've had one of them? And his goal and assist numbers speak for themselves. But now he's starting to add some really good play in. And I think it was the second half around like the 50th minute. He dribbled past about 4 people and then just didn't manage to get the shot away.
Yeah.
He's another one that for Sunday I'm really looking for a big performance, because I think he can get some joy on that right side.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones, I suppose, Ian, that we look back to the first Old Firm, and Cherny was extremely powder puff, not long in the door, but powder puff, didn't go into tackles. He looked absolutely lost. I lost the plot after the game and told him to go back to his parent club. Thank God he never, by the way, and how stupid did I look? But it's about redemption on Sunday for a lot of these players.
Listen, it's a little bit of that, and a little bit these guys are now starting to settle in. It would be great if we could have Vaclav Cherny, but I think Wolfsburg have quoted somewhere something like £7 million, and for the here and now, while we're owned by our current owners, we don't have that kind of dough. We're unlikely to sign someone for that amount of money these days. As much as in today's market, £7 million for Cherny sounds about right.
We will if we win the Europa League.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? The better you do, the more you get. But yeah, I mean, I think he's in a much better place now, Martin, to face Celtic than he was in his first game. Because if you remember, we were all guilty, and the fans turned on Cherny quite badly, and he almost took the huff for about 2 or 3 games, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if his year-long loan was rescinded and he went back to Germany. It was so bad at one point, because it was literally making signs at the fans and letting them know how upset he was at the treatment he was getting. And look where we are today in a short space of time. Football changes, as Lewis said, so quickly, and all the times we listen to Clement and we all get fed up listening to him saying the same things time after time. He's asked the same questions time after time. So of course we hear a bit of that, but the team are starting to settle down. Clement's messages seem to be getting through. So let's see where it takes us. I'm not going to get overexcited about Sunday, because we've been down this road before where we've found where we've had a kind of bit of unfounded confidence. So let's see where this takes us. I like I said, I wish the games were further apart tonight and the cup final, but let's keep this momentum going and see what brings us, if it brings us any joy on Sunday.
Right, Nizzy's put in 2 super chats, but they're kind of the same, so I'll bring them both up. Do we think, and that's supposed to obviously be Tav, that must be autocorrect. Do we think Tav will be dropped on Sunday, and also will Hadji start? I think Hadji could be somewhat of a wild card. And then the second super chat, do you think Tav will be dropped on Sunday, and also starting Hadji based on squad availability and also resting tired legs? I think is a must. That's actually a good question, Lewis, in terms of, we all said going into tonight that if Tav starts at right back tonight, Sterling starts on Sunday. But has Tav played well enough tonight to keep he's a captain of the club, to keep his place in Clement's mind for Sunday?
If Clement is turned the corner as much as I hope he has, then it wouldn't really matter how Tav performed, because it is, any good manager takes a game, by that game itself. You don't think about how a guy's performed against one team and how he might perform against another team. It's been a consistent problem for Tavernier in the last 2 years against Celtic, against an individual player that is almost guaranteed to start in that Old Firm. So unfortunately, Tav should not start, despite how unbelievable his performance was. We've got a guy that's just much more capable of dealing with one of Celtic's biggest threats. And if Maeda underperforms, that's almost one full flank for Celtic gone because they don't have a flying fullback on either side. Celtic, they have two pretty defensively minded fullbacks. I know they've got the boy in for Barcelona, but I would be very surprised if he started a League Cup final against Rangers. So fortunately for the captain, I hope that he doesn't start, but it gives me more hope that Tav is a viable option, at least until the end of the season.
Yeah, if he can continue to perform like that. But I think the proof in that has been the fact that he's been rested at points as well.
Exactly.
But we'll have to move on quickly. Graham Brownlee has become a channel member. Thank you very much, Graham. Thank you for the support. My friend, the Trying Scotsman and Stuart Henderson have both gifted Rangers Rabble membership. So thank you to both guys. Stephen Robertson is back in again. Another super chat, like and share, folks. Yes, extremely important. If this is your first time watching and you enjoy the content, please make sure that you subscribe. And everybody, please do give the show a like. The more likes that we get, the more that this gets thrown about on YouTube. So please do that. Stephen, thank you for the support. Buddy, Kevin Wilson, Rangers are better. Sky Sports News and Talk Sport Premiership is overrated. In my opinion, it is. But there's people who will disagree. Kevin, thank you very much for the support. The final super chat, and it's the final question I'm going to ask you guys because I think it's the most important question. Ian, I'll start with you, and it's from Dean. Thank you again, Dean. Do you guys think we have turned a corner, Ian?
Well, that's the very first thing I said to you when we came on and we were off air. I said, I think we might have turned a corner.
How am I supposed to remember that? That was 51 minutes ago.
I know. It's the pod 7 of the day, you know. Yeah, I think listen, the proof of the pudding's in the eating, isn't it? And we've now had 4 or 5 consistent performances that not have we just won, but our performances have looked better. The team seem to be a lot more cohesive. The messages from the manager seem to be getting onto the pitch. All of these players are getting are doing a lot better than they were, 1 or 2 months ago. So, have we turned a corner yet? I think I would like to see another month or 2 of consistency, maybe even a trophy in the cabinet before.
Sunday's a big factor as well.
Yeah, before I agree to that. I mean, listen, if we don't win on Sunday, doesn't mean we haven't turned the corner. The team's definitely improved. There's no doubt about it. The team's improved. But I would like to think we're in the process. We're about to take the corner, I would say, Martin.
Well, it's funny that you should say that because one of my favourite comment of the night from Jordy, we might have turned a corner, but we still can't score from them.
Exactly.
Which I love. Yeah, I'm in it.
That's good, Jordy.
And also Bluebells, great support for the pod tonight. It's been fantastic support. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes for everybody who tunes in. So thank you very much for the support. So Lewis, have we turned a corner?
My heart says yes. My head says no yet. Like Ian says, I think that there needs to be a longer run of consistent performances to really say that we've turned the corner. Listen, if we win on Sunday, we have 100% turned the corner and we won't be looking back. But realistically, you can't say that now.
We'll be saying we've turned the corner at the end of the season when we've won the quadruple. That's when you can say we've turned the corner.
Aye, I can see that happening definitely. But no, listen, it needs to be more. It needs to be more. That's just the standard at Rangers. Philippe Clement has came from a very, very dark place in that position where 90% of the fan base thought he wasn't good enough. And he needs to continue it. And it's not just based on performances from the players, it's based on performances from the manager. He really needs to prove to us that he's got what it takes to take this team forward. And that's just by making the right decisions. Like Ian says, we don't win on Sunday, but we have a good performance and we're just beaten fairly, then we're still turning the corner. That doesn't take away from the fact that we're developing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But, it's up to him. It's up to him. I believe a lot more than I did like a month ago. So there we go.
Which is mental when we said 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, the belief has just absolutely changed. Before we go, a massive super chat to Jim Sloan there. Wow.
Worth a mention.
Everyone in the chat, follow.
Wow.
Jim
Superb,
Sloan.
Nice one.
Jim Sloan is probably, I would say, the biggest Rangers Rabble legend out there. So thank you so much, Jim. And I have to ask this finally. I know I keep saying finally. You know that way when like somebody phones you and you're talking to them and they say, right, I'm gonna go, and then they keep talking, how annoying that is. That's
Right.
kind of what I'm like on this.
Like Ian, this reaction pod will be 30 minutes at the most.
That's like 30 minutes.
I'm actually falling asleep here. This is my bedtime.
No, I didn't say that. Please do like, share, and subscribe, folks. But your final point, just quickly, thank you very much, Jim. Superb support, and every penny is absolutely massive for us. So thank you very much. On the atmosphere tonight, Lewis, Ibrox never lets you down, does it? In European nights,
It's the best in the world. I don't care what anybody says. It's the best in the planet.
you were about to say what any Celtic fan says, there, weren't you?
I was very close to but listen, the only two teams that come close to us is the River Plate and Boca Juniors. You know, that's the only thing. And there's a lot of rules here in Scotland that if we didn't have their rules, that even they two wouldn't touch us. It's crazy. Everybody out with Rangers that experiences it is gobsmacked. It's deafening. Like they actually struggle to dumb down the noise of Ibrox on the telly. It's the only team I watch where it's just impossible to lower the noise. It's the best in the world.
We even got that down to a T as well. Us coming out for the second half was choreographed amazingly, Martin. We held the players in and let Spurs sit out there and listen to the Ibrox noise. And then we put simply the best on, and then we came trooping out. You know, so I think we used it to our full advantage, and the fans were brilliant tonight, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, you know, it's Gary Neville. He was asked about the best atmosphere he's ever experienced, and he mentioned that the most fearful he's ever the best atmosphere, was Galatasaray, but the most fearful he's ever been was at Ibrox, and that's big praise when you consider the Turkish fans are crazy.
But he had a Castro top on at the time when he said that. Let's not forget.
Did he?
Yeah.
And Roy Keane wasn't within punching distance either, was he?
Exactly. Listen, folks, that will do it. We're back at 12:30 tomorrow. Look, we could have spoke about Dio. We could have spoke more about Proper. We could have spoke more about Yefti and Yilmaz on that left-hand side who were outstanding. We just simply don't have the time. So we'll be speaking about more tomorrow afternoon. And then, of course, we've got the Friday night Rabble tomorrow night, where I'm sure we will go well over this game, and then of course previewing the weekend's game. So there's hundreds of content, whether you're a member or not. There's loads and loads of content on the Rangers Rabble YouTube channel, and make sure you like and subscribe and share and follow and all that good stuff. Thank you for all the super chats tonight. All the support you guys give is outstanding. Hello and welcome to everybody new who's tuned in for the first time. I hope you enjoy. Make sure you like and subscribe. Ian, Lewis, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much, everybody, and we shall see you tomorrow at 12:30.